Let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Mang Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Zeng Kong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dubten Darshi. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the good practice tonight. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva with loving kindness and great compassion. Sumo Tatantatso Tutanshiti. All Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good evening, everyone. How do you do?
I stay. Sarangi. Hola, amigo. Te quiero mucho. Sugoi. Ichiban. Kimochi. Yumi. Yapi. Prin. Konbanwa. Today
we practice Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. In Tantric Buddhism, Avalokitesvara is referred to as the White Deity. There are many names to the Avalokitesvara or Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, and mostly white. And white represents eradication of calamities and purification. However, in Tantric Buddhism, there are not only white Avalokitesvara or Kuan Yin, there are also red Kuan Yin. So therefore, my guru also taught me the Dharma practice of the red Kuan Yin. So it's not always white. We don't always have to wear white. But primarily she is for purification and eradication of calamities, because she is primarily a loving kindness, kind and loving and compassionate. So loving kindness is to give happiness, and compassion is to alleviate suffering, and joy is that you do them according to your abilities and affinities with joy. And equanimity is equality and without any discrimination. to help sentient beings.
平等没有分别的，所以也就是讲说，观世音菩萨所做的事情，它是平等没有分别的。
What Guan Yin Bodhisattva does is without discrimination. So she would not do it only for some people, but not for others. So anytime you pray to her, she would appear to each and every request and prayer offered to her. So, in her deliverance of sentient beings, she does not discriminate against your status. So, equality and equanimity. So she provides salvation equally and without discrimination. And she also forsakes her own bodies to deliver sentient beings. There are many miraculous legends about how she forsake her own bodies to deliver sentient beings. We have faith toward Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, and many multitudes number of people believe in Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, and primarily because she is loving, kind, and compassionate. Moreover, she has myriad emanations and transformation bodies.
我们平时这个应化身，观世音菩萨的应化身，本身就有30几种的应化身。平时，其实
generally there are over 30 transformation bodies that are commonly known to us, but actually there are myriad of them, thousands and millions of them.
在没有说法以前，
thousands of them.
先讲一个笑话。有2位老太太在老人院聊天，聊到他们的孙
There are
子
two elderlies were chatting at the senior home, and they're talking about their grandchildren. So the Grandma A said, every year I send greeting cards to my grandchildren. And on top of that, I also send them a big amount of check, but they never replied nor say thank you. And the Grandma B said, yeah, every year I also send greeting cards to my grandchildren and also a check with a big number on it. But each time, a week later, I would hear from them telling me that they have received them, and they even come to visit me. So, different case for different grandmas. So, Grandma A asked, oh, how did you do that? And Grandma B replied, very easy, because I do not sign the checks.
This 很重要啊，所以巧妙各有巧妙不同。
So that's important. Each has its own trick.
有 A、B、C 3个死囚犯。
There are 3
将要执行枪决。
death executioner.
这个时候这个议长
like the convict that's sentenced to death, ABC. So the prison ward asked them, what is your last wish? Other than releasing, requesting to be released, you can say your last wish. And he said, I want a bulletproof vest. And the executioner said, sure. And shot his head. And the convict B said, well, I want a bulletproof vest and bulletproof helmet. And the executioner said, no problem. And instead sentenced him to death by hanging. And then the third one said, I just want to see my grandchildren, my grandson. And the executioner said, but your children are not even married yet. How can you see your grandson? And then he replied, no worry, I can wait. Each has its own trick. Xiaoming went to the hospital for medical checkup. And the nurse was ready with her needle to draw blood. And Xiaoming saw the sparkling needle and asked, will it be painful? I'm afraid of pain. And the nurse said, don't worry, I've been a nurse for 20 years. And Xiaoming said, oh good, I'm at ease now. And then immediately she pushed the needle into Ming, and he shrieked. And the nurse continued, I've been a nurse for over 20 years, and there was not one time that's not painful. Okay, now to the main topic. Question and answer. From Brunei, by Lianhua Han Hong. Homage to the most respectful lineage root guru, living Buddha Lian Shang. I read your book, Thousands of Dharma Vessels, on the article dedicating merit. Grandmaster wrote in great details about many disciples who made offerings to the lineage root guru. The first half was reminded by the Vajra protector to Grandmaster to dedicate the merit to those disciples. And then to the part on Dharma Sister Haniva. Grandmaster just wrote at the end of the article, I dedicate the merit of my Dharma practice. May the merit of this offering be dedicated to the heaven of merits. While living, May they be endowed with abundant necessities and more, having affinity and always be accompanied by good spiritual guide, and ultimately attaining the fruition of non-leakage. Please advise, what is the meaning of having the lineage Guru dedicating merit, and why did Grandmaster dedicate it to the heaven of merits? Thank you, Grandmaster. So he or she have read the dedicating merit in the thousands Dharma vessels. Now I'm writing the latest book, number 290, 290, and it is titled The Stories Around the Thousands of Dharma Vessels. So I'm writing about many stories surrounding the thousands of Dharma vessels. There are many disciples who made offerings and dedicating the merit. But according to the story of Dharma Sister Hanifa, Grandmaster just wrote at the end of the article, I dedicate the merit of my Dharma practice, and may the merit of this offering be dedicated to the heaven of merits. Dedicating the merit to the heaven of merits. While living, may they be endowed with abundant necessities and more, having affinity and always be accompanied by good spiritual guide, and ultimately attain the fruition of non-leakage. So I would like to teach this part, that I dedicate the merit of my Dharma practice and dedicating the merit of this offering to the heaven of heavens. I mean, the heaven of merits. And he asked, what is the meaning of having the lineage Guru dedicating merit, and why you dedicate it to the heaven of merits? What is the meaning of merit dedication? After you generate the merit, what are you asking for with the merit? That's called merit dedication. We often say, may all who uphold the Buddha ascend to the realm of utmost bliss, repaying fourfold generosities from above and aiding those in the three lower realms. Upon seeing the Buddha, may we transcend life and death. Like the Buddha, may we liberate all. That's merit dedication. Sometimes, being seated on the Dharma throne, I become forgetful. So you need to add in. Typically, I chanted very smoothly. That's because there's no pressure. But under pressure, sometimes you just forget. Actually, I have no pressure at all for Grandmaster. I fall asleep every time seated on this Dharma throne. So how can there be any pressures? But interestingly, sometimes I would forget the words. I chanted so often. When I chanted just easily or casually, then I can do it. But when I'm too serious about it, then I would forget the words. So if you're not thinking of its meaning or something else, then you forget. Otherwise, you can just chant it very fluently. So merit dedication is a gathering that you are willing to be like all the beings who are chanting the Buddha's name, to be reborn in the Sukhavati, the western realm of Atma's bliss, the pure land of Amitabha Buddha. If you chant Amitabha Buddha's epithet, then we all will be reborn in Amitabha Buddha's pure land. So this chanting is also to repay generosities above to the generosities of the Buddhas, fourfold, which is the grace of the Buddhas, the grace of the heaven and earth, the grace of Father and Mother, and the grace of all beings. So the fourfold generosities or grace, and it can also help those in the three lower realms of hell, hungry ghosts, and animal. And you go to the western realm, and the blossoms open, and you would be able to see the Buddha. When you have the true understanding of the mind and see the Buddha nature, you would be able to see the Buddhas. Then you would be just like the Buddhas, to widely deliver all sentient beings. So you summarize everything in the merit dedication. So you don't ask for anything specific, but you pray to go to the Pure Land and to repay generosities and to see the Buddha, and just like the Buddha, to deliver all sentient beings. That's the meaning of merit dedication, is to concentrate, to gather, concentrate all the merits for this, so that it can be accomplished. That is called merit dedication. And the second question, why did the Grandmaster dedicate it to the heaven of merits? Do you know where the heaven of merits is? Check on your cell phones. Grandmaster does not have cell phones. What is it called? What is the other name for it? Anybody know? Yeah, it's the Mahasri heaven. The Sri Deva. Sri heaven. So the Reverend Guru replied, the Sri, or the heaven of auspiciousness. Or Lakshmi heaven, Sri heaven. I just want to test you, and immediately you check your cell phones. Without cell phones, you can't do anything. Recently, I read an article sent by someone last night, Simu. Simu showed it to me. And it's written, you cannot just rely on the cell phones. You should keep some cash with you. When you are amidst wars or natural disasters, there's no electric power. Then how can the cell phones function? Then it would be useless. And you go to the groceries and you want to pay electronically, right? Using your cell phones. So you use some e-pay or e-banking, and yet there's no power anymore. So in that article it was written, you should always prepare some cash with you or at home. Especially during war or natural disasters or calamities, when there's no water, no power, and you need to buy something, the only thing that works would be cash. So you cannot rely completely on this cell phones. So you need to prepare for the unexpected. So if you have no money at all, you may suffer from hunger. You need to have a crisis awareness. So why did Grandmaster dedicate it to the heaven of merits? In the Lotus Sutra, I think it's the Punarika Sutra, Sakyamuni Buddha said that it's a chapter called the Sri Devi or Lakshmi, which is also the heaven of merits. The heavenly beings of this heaven of auspiciousness, when they are born in this world, they would have abundant daily necessities, all what to wear, what to eat, they have more than enough. And they would have good spiritual guide, which means they would know to learn Buddhism and to practice and to become companion to the good spiritual guide. And eventually they would attain the fruition of non-leakage, which is the biggest, the greatest fruition. And what is the fruition of non-leakage? It's the non-leakage of the body and the mind. And with these two non-leakages, it's the transcendent power of non-leakage. Of the six transcendent powers, this transcendent power of non-leakage is the greatest and has the highest and the greatest attainment. Just general gods and sages or spirits, they have 5 transcendent powers or supernatural powers, and which is divine eye, divine sighting, divine hearing, soul travel, knowing your past and present lives. And the only one that they don't have is the transcendent power of non-leakage. And then also, they also know the minds of others. That's the 5. So to attain the fruition of non-leakages, that's really tremendous. Because only the 4 sixthly realms, the beings of the 4 sixthly realms, the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Prateka Buddhas, and Shravakas have this transcendent power of non-leakage. Why is it called the non-leakage? Because it means that all karma has been eradicated, completely emptied. If you are still leaking, if there's still a leakage, it means you still have karma. Once the karma is completely eradicated, that your purity has reached the 12th or the 13th level and above that, which means all karma has been eradicated, only then you would have the transcendent power of non-leakage. Once you completely without karma, then you have no causes for birth and no causes for death, and you would have reached the 4 sixthly realms. Most people would not be able to attain this transcendent power for non-leakage, and not even by the sages, gods, saints, and spirits, because they still have the leaking body and leaking mind. Now we understand what the transcendent power of non-leakage is. I would like to clarify that. So attaining the fruition of non-leakage means to reach the 4 sixthly realms. So why Grandmaster dedicated to the heaven of merits? Because the heaven of merits, or the heavenly beings of this heaven, being reborn in the world, would be endowed with abundant resources and have affinity and always accompany the good spiritual guide and ultimately attain the fruition of non-leakage. So this merit dedication encompasses everything. From the development stages to the perfection stage, all is complete and perfect. This is the greatest merit dedication. So why did I want to dedicate it to the heaven of merits? Although the heaven of merits is the heavens of auspiciousness, which is only the heavenly realms, but in reality, they can let you attain all this. So the merit dedication I dedicate to Dharma Sister Hanifa, is to make her have everything. Guidance. from development stages to the perfection stage. All
就
is
是最
perfect.
圆满的回向。回向功德天是最圆满的回向。
This is the most perfect meditation to the heavens of merits.
回答布鲁内的莲花汉红。在古代，药店都会挂一副对联。
In
但
ancient
愿
times,
世间人无病，宁可
the
架
herb
上
store would
药
hang a
生
board
成。
that would say,
这心地很好，古人
we'd
的心
rather
地很
have
好。
people have no
恒
sicknesses
期是天
and
下
let
平安，
the
大家通通都没有病。
the herb cabinets be filled with
如
dust
今 药
and
店
peace on earth.
现在的人
But
就会挂一
nowadays,
副大横匾，买
the
十
farmacies
送五，
would hang
多
a
买多赠。
board that would say,
购
buy
买
10
要满
and get
500
5
元
free,
送棉
and the
花
more you
棒之
buy,
折。
the more you get.
当
If you
今的
spend
社会又不一样
$500,
了，
Taiwan dollars, you would get a
交通
box
警
of
察
Q-tips.
盼望你违规，
So the society today
律
is
师
the
啊，
police
他希
officers
望你能
wish
够告
you
状，
violating the traffic,
老师啊，希
and
望
the
你能够
lawyers
补课，
wish you
医生
to
啊，
sue,
希望你
to file a
能够生
lawsuit,
病。
and the teachers wish you fail in class so that you can go for tutoring, and the doctors wish that you are
棺
sick,
材店呢，常常放一首歌，什么
and
歌
the
啊？
coffin
总有一
shops
天等到你。
always play this song that says, eventually
天底
will
下最
you
有
will
良
come.
心的是谁呢？
So
是小偷。
who is the kindest nowadays?
盼望你
It's the
家里
thieves.
放着钱，
They just wish that you
盼
have
望
money
你
at
有
home.
钱放在家里。
They wish that you have
应该是最有
money
良
and
心
then
的。
put it at home. So they become the most kind.
天下的事很难讲啊。
It's very difficult to
今天有一个
talk
职员
about
有
things
错
of
了，
the world.
因为办公室里的鱼缸里面养了几只透明的小虾。
In the
办公室的
aquarium,
鱼缸里面养的不是鱼，
in
而是透
the
明的小
the
虾。
aquarium at the office, he
那
raised
老板
some
来了，
transparent
看了半天，
shrimps, but not fish.
问我养的是什么？
So my boss came and looked at it for a long time
虾。
and asking, "Oh, what
那老板一
are you
认，
raising here?"
铁青就
This is
连
play a
走了。
word of Chinese.
我也认
And
了，
I replied,
我突然
shrimps.
间想起来了，大声的解释。
Actually,
虾，老
it
板，
also a
老
homophobe
板
for
是
blind.
虾，老板真的
So
是
the
虾
boss
啦，
like looked
是
really
真的
bad and turned
虾。
around. So it's only meaningful in Chinese.
对，老板很佛。有一个人搬新家，
Someone
朋友
moved
送
their
来的
house
花篮，
and
竟然
someone
写着
gave him a
下
bouquet of
鹤
flowers
西
and
归。
on it there is a
一气
writing that
之下打
said,
电话到花店骂，
riding
骂这个
the
花店的老
crane
板。
to the western
老
realm.
板被骂以后，沉
And
默
so
了几秒
he's
问：
angry and
真
called
的是写
the florist.
下鹤西归吗？
And the
那个
person
人
there
回
and
答
asked, "Are you sure?"
你自己来看呐、
Well, if you don't
老板
believe
讲
it, come and
那
take a
完
look.
蛋了。
And
送
then
去告别式
the
的
florist said, "Oh
写的
no."
是乔迁之死。
Then we swapped the bouquet to the funeral home with yours.
告别式的，跟搬新家了，刚好对调。
So they swapped
你
it.
看那个告别
They
式
swapped.
上面写着“乔迁之喜”。
So happy housewarming to the funeral home and going to the Western realm
好，我们今
or
天
the
讲《金刚
heaven
经》啦，
for the one that moved
这
house.
个很短，
Now we'll talk about the Vajra Sutra. It's very
一
short
下
today.
子就可以讲完。
It can be
非
covered in
说
a very
所
short time.
说分第21， 这
Chapter
标题
21.
很好讲。
The spoken words have not been spoken. The title is very easy to
话
explain.
不可以说，
The Dharma
非说。
cannot be spoken.
什么是所说呢？所说就是非法。
And
标题啊，
the spoken
非
ones
说所说分第
are not
21。
Dharma.
什么是
So
非
that's
说
the？ title.
就是话不可以说。那什么
The
是所
spoken
说
words that have not been
那所
spoken.
说就是
So
非
the
法。
Dharma cannot be spoken. And what is spoken is not Dharma.
标题的解释，所
That's
讲
the
的都
explanation
不
for
是
the
法。
title. Everything that has been
话是不
spoken
可
is
以
not
说的，
Dharma. But the Dharma
所
cannot be
说的都是不
spoken.
是法。
That everything that is
标题是
spoken
这
is
样子
not
写的。
Dharma.
好了，我们
That's
看内容。
the title. Okay, now to the content.
佛陀问
The Buddha
须菩
asks
提：
Subhuti,
你胡为如来作是念？
do not say that
我
the
当
Tathagata
有所
thinks
说法，
I have
莫
spoken the
作是
Dharma.
念。
Do not
何
think
以
in
故？
this way. Why?
若人言如来有所
Anyone
说法，
saying that the
即
Tathagata
为
has
谤
spoken
佛，
the Dharma
不能
slanders
解我所
the
说故。
Buddha,
须菩提，
as he
说
does not
法者
understand what I have been
无
saying.
法可说，
Subhuti, there is
是
no
名说
Dharma
法。
to be spoken. Speaking the Dharma is merely a name called speaking the Dharma.
说法的无法可说，那你为什么还要说？
So, when speaking the Dharma, there is no Dharma to be spoken. Then why are you still speaking the Dharma?
这一段也是蛮重要的，
So,
可以讲
this piece is
就是讲
also
的
very
第
important.
一要义，
We can say that this is the
讲的
ultimate
第一要义，
truth,
讲的很重要的一个要义在里
a
面。
very
须
important.
菩提，你复为如来作是念，你不要是想啊，不要这样子想啊。
So, the Buddha
我
Subhuti
当
do
有
not
所
think
说
this
法，
way,
你不要想这个如来有说法，
that the Tathagata
莫作
has
是
spoken
念，
the Dharma.
何以故？
Do not think in this way. Why?
为什么呢？如果有人讲如来有所说法，
Anyone
就是诽谤
saying
佛
that the Tathagata has spoken the Dharma slanders
这
the
个人
Buddha,
不能解我所说法，不能
as this
解
person
我说
does not
我讲
understand
的。
what I have been
须
saying.
菩提，这个说法的人是无法可说的，
Subhuti,
因
the
为无法可
person
说
speaking the
才叫做
Dharma
说
has
法。
no Dharma to be spoken. And because there
这一
is no
段
Dharma to be spoken, it is called speaking the Dharma.
大家这样听得清楚吗？
So
看
after
的是很清
listening
楚，
to this piece, can you
想起来
understand clearly?
好像猛叉叉，
When you read it, it feels clear, but when you think
广
about
东
it,
话
it feels quite
猛叉
confusing
叉，
or muddled.
猛叉叉，真的，这释迦牟尼佛讲经就是这样子讲的，让你听起来莫名其妙，这有什么好讲的？
The
干脆不要
Buddha,
讲算了。
the
你
Buddha
讲还清楚一点，
spoke like
你讲
this
了
on
弄
the
得大家莫
Sutra.
名其妙。
It makes all of us confused and befuddled. Maybe
不过
it's best not
佛
to
所
talk
讲
about it.
它有它的道理在。
However, what the Buddha says makes sense. It has its own concepts and reasonings.
无我相
This is talking about the non-phenomena of self, non-phenomena of others, non-phenomena of sentient beings, and non-phenomena of lifespan.
你就讲得通。
If you use that to explain, then it would make sense.
全部都不通。
Otherwise, it does not make sense.
佛陀讲，他没有说法，你不可以这样子想说。
The Buddha said that he has not spoken the Dharma. The Buddha said you should not think that way.
如来有所说法，
If someone says that the Buddha has spoken the Dharma, that is slandering the Buddha, as he does not understand what I really mean, what the Buddha really means. So, for the one speaking the Dharma, there is no Dharma to be spoken. And only when the Dharma, there is no Dharma to be spoken, then it is calling speaking the Dharma. Now I have said it the third time and you are still confused. Actually, I'm also confused. It's very difficult to explain it clearly. It cannot be spoken. How to say it? I often use the moon as an analogy. There are no human beings on the moon. So who is it speaking the Dharma? Nobody. Who is listening to the Dharma? Nobody. And is there Dharma? No. Nothing exists. No human beings. No one speaking the Dharma, no one listening the Dharma, and no Dharma. And that's on the moon. And now we are on the earth. There are human beings on earth. At that time, Sakyamuni Buddha was also on earth, on the earth. India was on earth. And the Vulture Peak was a mountain, the Griyakuta. And then he said that the Dharma ceremonies on the Griyakuta, that he did not speak the Dharma, because Buddha nature cannot be spoken. The true and real Buddha nature cannot be put into words, cannot be spoken. So whatever that's spoken is, it's confusing. It's grids. So anything that can be spoken is not Dharma, is not Buddha nature. So the Buddha nature cannot be put into words, cannot be spoken. So therefore, whatever we talk about is not Dharma, is not Buddha nature. So that's why the Buddha said, if you say that the Buddha speaks the Dharma, then you slander the Buddha. And this person essentially does not understand, because the Buddha Dharma cannot be spoken. So for the person speaking the Dharma has no Dharma to be spoken. Because Buddha nature really cannot be spoken. And only because it cannot be spoken, only then that is speaking the Dharma. because you cannot say it, you cannot speak on it, and you cannot put it on words. That's why it's called speaking the Dharma.
说法者要讲佛说法的人啊，无法可说，因为要讲到佛性，它不可说的，佛性是不可说的。
For the speaker of the Dharma,
因为讲出佛性是不可说的，这个才是说法。
And because you say that the Buddha nature cannot be
这样子
spoken,
这一句你们后面来讲，
that is speaking the Dharma.
不能解我所说故，为什么？因为佛性是绝对是不可说的。
He cannot understand what I have been saying. Why? Because Buddha nature cannot be spoken.
没东西可以说。
For sure. What is Buddha nature?
因为我讲说没东西可以说，所以才是说。
To describe it. And because I say that there is nothing that can describe it, and that is speaking the Dharma or Dharma teaching.
我所讲的这个
That's according to the Buddha.
实在越讲让人家越糊涂。
The sutra spoken by the Buddha is becoming more and more confusing.
来读这一本经，真的
But
白读。
unless you can truly understand the mind and see the Buddha nature, then reading the sutra is useless. Or even if you're given the sutra, it's useless. You need to understand the meaning, the essentials of the Buddha's teaching.
这就是第一义。
And this is the ultimate truth. The most important
这里
meaning.
面接下去就比较好讲。
And then continuing would be easier to
为什么比
explain.
较好讲？其实，在你们来，你如果不了解的话，还是不好讲。
But if you still don't
会
understand, then
令
it's still
须菩提
not
白佛言，
clear.
那时候啊，这
Then
须
the
菩
wise
提跟佛
Subhuti
讲
asked the Buddha,
世尊，
Lord
佛
Honored
有
One,
众生于未来世，
can
闻说
sentient
是
beings
法，
who hear
生
this Dharma
信心
teaching
不
in the future
他问
believe
释
and
迦牟尼
generate
佛，
faith upon it?
听到
He
世尊
asked
啊，
Sakyamuni Buddha, Lord Honored One,
如果有很多的众生在未来世听到你讲
if
这个
there
话，
are many
会
sentient
生信心吗？
beings who hear this Dharma teaching in the future, will they believe and generate
佛陀
faith
讲，
upon
释
it?
迦牟尼佛讲，
And
须菩
Sakyamuni
提
Buddha
必非
said,
众生，非不
Subhuti,
众生，何以
they
故？
are neither
须
sentient
菩提，
beings nor
众生众
non-sentient
生者，
beings.
如来
Why?
说非众生，
Subhuti, the
是
Tathagata
名众
says
生。
that sentient beings are not sentient beings, they are merely named
这句
sentient
讲
beings.
你们懂了吗？
Now do you understand this statement?
讲的是什么话？
What is it talking about?
台湾话咧讲哦，台湾话讲啊，你讲这是什么碗糕？
In Taiwanese, we say, what the cake are you talking about?
释迦牟尼佛讲哦，须菩提，你听好，
Sakyamuni Buddha said,
他
Subhuti,
们不是
listen
众生
carefully.
啊，
They are not sentient beings.
非不众生，不是众生，为
They
什么会
are
不是
not
众生呢
sentient？ beings.
须菩提呀，
Why? They are
众
not
生
sentient
众生
beings.
者，如来说，
Because
佛
Subhuti,
讲，
the
那不
Tathagata
是众
says
生啊
that，sentient beings are
因为
not
不是众
sentient
生才
beings.
叫做众生
And
啊。
because they are not sentient beings, they are called sentient beings.
讲的是什么碗糕？
What is he talking about?
是什么东东啊？这讲的是什么
What the
东东啊？
heck is this?
就很好讲了。
It's very easy,
释迦牟
right?
尼佛讲，须菩
Sakyamuni
提，
Buddha said, Subhuti,
他们不是众生，
they are not sentient
是
beings.
佛性。
They are Buddha nature.
在我眼中看，大家都是佛性。
In my
佛
eyes,
陀眼
everybody
中看的是
is
佛
Buddha
性，
nature.
不是众生。
And in the eyes of the Buddha, everyone is Buddha nature, not sentient beings. Why? Subhuti, listen carefully. The Tathagata or the Buddha says that sentient beings are not sentient beings, they are Buddha nature. But sentient beings say sentient beings because they have not truly understand their minds and have not seen the Buddha nature. That's why they call themselves sentient beings. Now do you understand?
这里提到的都是佛性，佛性是不可
This is
说的。
talking about the Buddha nature.
能
Buddha
够说
nature
的就
cannot
不
be
是佛性。
spoken. Anything that can be spoken is
经文
not Buddha nature.
佛性不是是不可说，
So the
所
sutra
说的
should
又不
say
是佛性。
the Buddha nature cannot be spoken. Anything that is
佛
spoken
陀
is
眼
not
中
Buddha nature.
根本没有众生，
In the
只
eyes
有
of
佛
the
性。
Buddha, there are no
众
sentient
生
beings,
皆
there
有
are
佛性。
only Buddha nature. Because all sentient
佛
beings
陀
have
看
Buddha
到的是
nature.
佛性，
All that the
而不是
Buddha
众生。
sees is Buddha nature and not
所
sentient
以他这
beings.
样子讲，
That's why he says
佛陀讲那不是众生，
they are not sentient
因为
beings.
不是众生，
And because they are not
但是
sentient
这
beings,
些人
these
自以为
people
是众生，
think
他们
they
看不
are
到佛
sentient
性，
beings because
所以
they
才认为
cannot
他
see
们是
Buddha
众生。
nature. That's why they think they are sentient beings.
这一段大家这样就清楚。
Now
这一段
it's
就
clear, right, to everyone.
为什么叫慧命悉菩提？
Why
慧命悉菩
here
提，悉菩
we
提就悉
call
菩提，
him the
加
wise
两个慧命
Subhuti?
干什么？
Why don't we just say Subhuti? Why do
佛陀是赞扬他，
they add the wise Subhuti? Because the Buddha praised him.
慧就是性，
Wisdom also means nature,
命是身体，
and life means
有
body.
性就是空性，
So the
Min
nature
就是
is
身
empty nature. And
慧命悉菩提就
Buddha
是
and
慧
body.
命，就是说
So
有
that
身
means
体又有智慧的悉菩提，
so Subhuti
这种
endowed
智
with
慧是如来的智慧，
body and
不是一般
wisdom.
的智慧。
And it's the wisdom of the Tathagata,
所
not
以
just
如
an
来的智
ordinary
慧，
wisdom.
佛讲的如来的智慧，真的是最伟大的。现在你现在讲，
So the
我记
wisdom
得
of
有
the
一个
Tathagata is the greatest.
有一个在五灯会演里面有一则很短，释迦牟尼佛要过世
In
的时
the
候，
ceremony of the five
他快要
lamps,
过世的时候，
there is this excerpt when Sakyamuni Buddha was about to enter
文殊师利菩
Parinirvana.
萨
Manjusri Bodhisattva descended
跟释迦牟尼佛讲，
and spoke
请佛
to
住世，
Sakyamuni Buddha, please
请
stay
转
in
法轮，
samsara.
请你继续再转
Please
法轮。
continue to turn the Dharma wheel.
释迦牟尼佛反问文殊师利菩萨：
And Sakyamuni
我有
Buddha
转法轮吗？
replied to Manjusri
我有
Bodhisattva,
转法轮吗？
have I turned the Dharma
这时
wheel?
候文殊师利菩萨一听，
And
他
upon
马上
hearing
就
that,
知道佛
Manjusri
在讲，
Bodhisattva immediately
不说一
understood
句话，
what the Buddha was saying
他就
and did not
走了。
say anything
文殊
anymore.
师利菩萨就走了。
And then Manjusri Bodhisattva
佛
left.
最重要的一句话：
The most important
我
statement
有
by the
说
Buddha,
法吗？
have
我
I
有
spoken
转
the
法
Dharma?
轮吗？
Have I turned the
我
Dharma
有
wheel?
说法吗？
Have I spoken on the Dharma?
佛并没有说法，
The Buddha has
因为
not spoken the
众生
Dharma,
都是佛性。
because all sentient beings are Buddha
但
nature.
是为什么有众生呢？
But
因
why
为
sentient
还没有
beings
明
exist?
白自己的佛
Because
性，
they have not
没
understood
有
their
明
own
心
Buddha
见性，
nature. They have
所以
not
他就是众
understood their
生。
mind and see the Buddha nature. That's why they are sentient beings. They
如
are
果
still
明
sentient beings.
心见性的，你明白了自己
But
的佛
once
性，
you gain
你
true
已经是
understanding
佛
of your
性，
mind, you truly
我还要
understand
说
your
什
own
么法？
Buddha nature, then you are Buddha nature.
不
Then
用
there
说
is
法，
no need for the Buddha to speak the Dharma. No need.
所说的法也不是法，
So all the Dharma that has been
因为
spoken
法
is not
是
Dharma,
指佛性。
because the Dharma
佛性是不可
refers
说
to the Buddha nature,
这
and
一
the Buddha
段
nature
这个
cannot
意
be
义在这里
spoken.
它的意义在这里，
So
你们
this is
了
the
解。
meaning of this passage.
大家了解，
So
众
everyone
生是没有
understands
意
now.
义的。
Understands that sentient
活在这世界
beings
上
have no meaning. Living in this
也是
world
没有意义的。
is also meaningless.
你做了很多的功德，也是没有功德的。
Even when you have generated tremendous merits, that's also
哪
no
有什么功
merits.
德？
How could there be any merit?
说你赚钱也没有什么意义的。
Even when you earn lots of money, that's meaningless.
你赚钱为了什么？
What
要
is
买
it?
豪宅啊，
You make
买房子
money
啊，
for what?
买房子也没有什么意义的。
To
房子归房子，
live
你归
in
你，
to live in
没有
good
意义的。
homes,
要买这
to
个
buy luxury
汽
homes,
车啊，
manners.
买汽车也
That's
是没
also
有意义
meaningless.
的。
To
汽
buy
车归汽
cars,
车，你归你。
those also meaningless. Cars are cars, and you are you.
你要结婚生子啊，
You want to get married and have
妻子归
children,
妻子，
but
子
your
女
wife
归
is
子
your wife,
子
and
女，你归
children are
你，
children, and you are
没有什么
you.
意义的。
They are all meaningless.
哪有什么意义？
How could there be any meanings to those?
人在天堂，钱在银行，
The person is in
妻
heaven,
子在别人的
the
胸
money
膛，
is at the bank, the wife is at somebody else's
兄弟正在
chest,
争你的财产，
and the brothers are fighting for your inheritance.
有什么意义？
So how could there be any meaning to all those?
这暂时，这一时，你可
It's
以用
only
到，
momentarily for you to
稍微
use.
有一点意思，一时，
A slight
暂时
meaning
你可以用到，
is just so that you can use them for
以后
a
都没有
moment,
了。
but eventually they will all be
所
gone.
以啊，爱情
So romantic
是
love
你的单，
go
是你
your
的鸟
way,
蛋。
go your
全部都是幻，在这个娑婆
everything
世
is
界，全
illusion.
部都是幻，
Everything in the Saha
一个
world
幻，
is
做梦啊，
illusory,
梦幻而已。
illusions,
金刚
dreams.
经讲的，他已经指明了，
The Vajra Sutra states
娑
it,
婆世界不过是梦幻
that
泡
the
影。
Saha world is just a
将来
dream,
会讲到梦幻泡影，
bubbles and shadows. In the future, we'll talk about this.
当
They
然
are
你说
just
法是没有意义的。
illusions, dreams, bubbles, and shadows. So, Dharma, teaching Dharma
因
or
为最有意
speaking the
义的
Dharma is
还是
meaningless
你的佛性，
because the most meaningful thing is your Buddha nature,
功德天，
is the transcendent
功德
power
天
of
他注意到
non-leakage,
升起次第
the
中
heaven of merits,
圆满次第，
which pay attention to both development stages and perfection stage. In Tantric Buddhism, we have both development stages and perfection stage. But strictly speaking, this sutra spoken by the Buddha belongs to the perfection stage, not development stages. But do the development stages important? Yes, it's also important. So this is the middle way. So both the development stages and the perfection stage are in balance with each other. Why? Because the development stage is the perfection stage, and the perfection stage is the development stage. Okay, to say it more clearly, sentient beings are Buddhas, and Buddhas are sentient beings. If you talk about emptiness, I talk about existence. Between emptiness and existence, you need to value both of them. The Vajra Sutra talks about emptiness, but emptiness is also existence, and existence is emptiness. The material world is the spiritual world, and the spiritual world is also the material world. That's what the Heart Sutra talks about. That forms is emptiness, and emptiness is forms. And forms is no different from emptiness, and emptiness is no different from forms. It's written in the Heart Sutra. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form is no different from emptiness, emptiness is no different from form. So existence is also emptiness, and emptiness is also existence. This is the middle way, or Madhyamaka. So in our tantric practice, development stage is also important. And because the development stage is also the perfection stage. Because if you don't practice the development stages, how can you be perfect? How can you be in the perfection stage? The perfection stage came from the development stages. So the development stages are the cause, and the perfection stage is the fruit or the result. And the Vajra Sutra is talking about the result or the fruit. That's why it's spoken that way. So normally, not only we should emphasize or value what's written in the Vajra Sutra. If you go to the extreme of emptiness or nihilism, what would happen? Okay, I'm just a Buddha nature. I'm not a sentient being. Then I can do whatever because they're all Buddha nature. Then that would be wrong. Because there would be no cause and effect. If you're too obsessed with emptiness, then there would be nihilism. Then in that, karma is annihilated. Annihilated. Now do you understand? So in Tantrayana, most of tantric Buddhist practices are considered to be the middle way, Madhyamaka. So we emphasize both existence and emptiness equally. So we cannot say that because you're completely empty. Because if you are slanting toward existence, because sentient beings are more existentialists, so that's why you have to talk about emptiness to them. But once you enter the realm of emptiness, when you're completely emptied, but if you're obsessed by it and become nihilism, then that's also a kind of attachment. Then at that time it would be called nihilism. And nihilism has no karma. I mean, doesn't believe in karma. Then you can just do as you like, and it would be quite chaotic, quite problematic. So that's the reason, the concept of spoken by the Buddha. So today, this is what I explain. Cannot be spoken.
就是那个非说所说分，所说的就是非法。
The spoken ones are not dharma. The dharma cannot be spoken. The spoken ones are not dharma. That's the title. Chapter 21. If I don't explain it, then nobody would understand the meaning of this piece. This is also very difficult to explain. Fortunately, Grandmaster is able to explain it.
Apple 是水果界的真正的老大。
Apple is the big boss of fruits. Why? One apple tempted Eve in the Garden of Eden, and one apple poisoned the Snow White. One apple dropped on Newton and inspired him to invent gravity or to understand gravity. One apple is monopolizing the cell phones, and one apple is the gossip magazines, the biggest gossip magazine, and one apple is the brainwashing song that you are my little apple. So apple is truly great. The brainwashing song. It's been a long time since we sing this song.
小呀小苹果，你们唱的都是被洗脑。
Whoever sings it, has been brainwashed. That's all for today. Om Mani Padme Hum.